Ladies and gentlemen, it is fight time again. We are days away from another big show at the Grady Cole Center. It's Fight Lab 34, and I'm up here at Renegade Fighting Systems, the headquarters of Fight Lab. Of course, I'm up here with Mike Cornbread Allen. A big show coming up for you guys on Saturday. I saw you wheeling and dealing on the phones. The pressure is getting to you right now. Your man, he was about to crack. How do you feel, champ?
Well, with the addition of William Johnson to the team, on top of the normal stuff I deal with on fight week, I'm ready to choke someone. So
William Johnson's a great guy. He's another media guy. You like us media guys because it gives you a chance to run your big mouth.
Yeah, I like you media guys.
I appreciate it.
You don't make my life difficult. William Johnson has made my life extremely difficult. And I'm hoping that in about 30 minutes he's foolish enough to come in here and train.
I would like to see that. I don't know if I have time to because I had to deal with my own foolishness going on a little later on today. Just a brief overview because we're under time constraints because, like I said, you're wheeling and dealing as it is as soon as I came through the door. Overview real quick. You got the 13 fights. Mm-hmm. You got the 2 pro fights, and then you got a little grappling for the other combat fans.
Yeah.
You got a little grappling gi action going on. Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, we're we're always trying to do something different to make our shows stand out from the other regional shows, and with these other shows stepping up their games, we had to come up with something new, and so we're running a test run on possibly creating a new sport in itself, and so what we're doing is we're holding a 4-man grappling tournament, purple belt division. We've got 4 of the top purple belts from the area. One representing Helson Gracie, Myrtle Beach, Joe Selecki. One representing Team Rock from down in Raleigh, John Telford. Mm-hmm. One from East Coast Fighter, Roberto Travern, School, Mateus Santos. And then we just had a new addition from Alliance in Georgia. I think his name is Daniel Donahue. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a gi. It's going to be in the cage, 7-minute rounds, no points, submission only. If it ends after the 7 minutes, it goes straight to the judges. And so we'll do the first grappling match immediately following the first MMA fight. Nice. And then we'll do the second grappling match immediately following the second MMA fight. And then the 2 winners will meet for the championship on the main card.
There you go. You want to go ahead and give predictions for those since we already got them? Or do you you don't do predictions for these, do you? How can you predict something as great as this?
Look, I've got enough enemies in the MMA community. I don't need to make any more in the jiu-jitsu community too. So I've already got guys like the Gerbil, Jeremy Rail and Steve Hall, and I've got to stay in those guys' good graces, and of course Paulo Mushu over East Coast Fighter, and Billy Dowie at Team Rock, the trainers, and I don't want to venture out, but I will say this. I tell you what, I will give you my pick to win the tournament.
Please.
I'm gonna go with Joe Selecki.
Okay.
From Helson Gracie, Myrtle Beach. By the slimmest of margins, because I know Mateus is a beast. He trains under my good friend Paulo, so I really don't even want to pick against him. I don't know much about the Donahue kid from Alliance, but he's from Jacare School down in Atlanta, so he's got to be tough. And I know Bagels Telford. Yeah. And it's actually funny because Bagels Telford, because he's an MMA fighter, he actually has more experience inside the cage. So that could come into play.
Yeah, that's a hidden bonus. That's a hidden
man. I don't know, man. It's gonna be good. I'm excited.
That's a bonus pick for you fans out there. Now it's time to get down to the real thing.
Ladies
and gentlemen, this is a competition, not an exhibition. So wagering is encouraged. Start off the first female fight. Got Andy Wynn versus. I'm gonna mispronounce his name only because it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and the coffee I had was not strong. So I apologize to Miss Valenzuela, but it's like A-R-A, I'm just going to spell it. This is the first time I spelled a name. You want to tackle this? A-R-A-C-E-L-Y. I apologize. I can't pronounce your name.
I'm not going for it. I'm going to ask her how to say it, then I'm going to say it.
Yeah, that's good enough. Andy Wynn is 5-7 inside the cage. She comes from down there in Myrtle Beach. She's experienced all over South Carolina. I believe this is her first time inside the Fight Lab cage. It's going to be in the Grady Cole Center. It's going to be action-packed. This is probably something she wants.
Yeah. Andy Wynn, I think she was voted one of the top 10 hottest female MMA fighters in the world.
I missed that.
Yeah, I actually saw that. And I'm not, to my beautiful fiance Regina, I'm not making that up. That is a true statement. I think I actually saw that. So, you know, Andy, she's a beautiful young lady, talented, athletic, trains down at Fitness Edge with Marvin Skipper and Tomar Washington.
That's a tough team.
Tough team, very tough team. Derek Brown, our current 205 champion, who's out of commission right now. Mrs. Valenzuela trains at 8 Points Muay Thai with Chris Clodfelter, doing jiu-jitsu under Gracie Baja. She's 0-1. However, I've heard from a good source that she is a ridiculous striker. You know, at the end of the day, though, I think Andy's 12 fights experience versus her one fight, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for her. I've got to go with Andy Wynn.
I hear you. Steven Strasser goes up against Derek Wells. Steven Strasser, I believe, fought at the HD Fights a couple of months ago, goes up against Derek Wells. Derek Wells is first time inside the cage. It's one fight experience. I don't know how much that matters versus a guy with no experience.
You know, I have on very good advice that Stefan Strasser is the next big thing in Charlotte MMA.
Wow.
Trains down
That's
with Brandon.
from you.
Yeah, it's not coming from me. It's coming from me through somebody else. So, but it's a good source, and you know, he trains with Brandon Davis, so I have a lot of respect for. Brandon's one of my good friends. Runs just a fantastic program down there at Salvation MMA, an affiliation of Team Rock, Charlotte, and you know, you can't say enough about those guys. Derek Wells, don't know a lot about him. I do know his coach Eric Stevens, and one of his teammates has fought for us. Actually, Mr. Abs. Remember Mr. Abs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, Josh. So you know that the kid's going to bring the pain. But I'm gonna have to go with Stefan Strasser on this one.
That's good enough. Got Brad Tuttle versus Brad Strand. Right now, Brad Tuttle's at 2-1. He won his last fight, I believe, Fight Lab 32. Gets me. There's a lot of punching in that one. If I'm
a lot of punching, man. Yeah, Matt Tuttle is a extremely strong young man, very powerful. Trains at Relentless MMA with my good friend Aaron, and trains with Igor Tatarov, who's actually competing for our middleweight title later on in the card. You know, Matt Tuttle, he had a rough start, got off with a loss to a Duran McDonald, fighting up at the 205-pound weight class. He's come down to 185, and I'm looking forward for big things from him. His opponent, Brad Strain, man, this guy's no joke, dude. You know, he lost a very competitive fight to that experiment they call Nate Kaiser, and I mean, was just right in there to the end. He's coming down to 185, I think, which is his real weight class. He trains with Wonder Boy Steven Thompson and Master Ray Thompson down there at Upstate Karate, RCJ Machado Jiu-Jitsu. I've been on the mat with Brad, man. I'm almost tempted to use my mulligan on this one because it's such, I can't.
I think because it's like the end of the year. This is the last fight for the new year, correct? So you got to go all out. It's like a clearance sale. You got to go all out.
And there's no Renegade guys on this.
No Renegade.
Man, I'm doing this. No mulligans today. No mulligans. I'm going with Brad Strain.
Oh, there's an upset right now.
I'm going with the upset, Brad Strain.
I like that. Brad Geyer comes from highest standing good guys down there. He's at 2-0 right now versus Irving Smooth Morale. That kid, that's a fabulous looking kid, I got to tell you that. At 2-2. The last fight up there when Freedom Fighter came to town at the Club Hush. Club Hush. So he's right now on a 2-fight winning streak. What do you see in this one right here, buddy?
This is my pre-pick for fight of the night. Of course, we haven't gotten through the rest of them, so I'll probably change that one. Brad Geyer, he's impressive young man. Comes out of a highest stand, training with Paul Boo and the master of Cool, Kevin Frant, and former Fight Lab amateur champion Tony Tan. So you know this guy is always ready. They seem to have a really strong group of younger fighters coming up through the ranks to carry on the tradition at highest stand, and he seems to be leading the charge. On the other side of the cage, Irving Smooth Morrell. He's my man. I like him, man. He's a great kid, fine young man. Trains with my buddy Jay and Steven Hernandez over at Korean Top Team and Top Martial Arts and Fitness. And I'm excited for both these guys. I'm excited for their careers and what they're going to do later on in the future. Unfortunately, they got a clash here in a couple days. Because Paul Boo does not respond to my Facebook messages accordingly, I'm going to pick against Brad Geyer, and I got to go with my man, Irving Smooth Morrell.
Only because he doesn't respond to your.
Yeah, that's what happens when you. That's what it is personal. You know, Paul Boo, him and Kenny Letts, they've had this conspiracy against me for probably 3-4 years now.
How many people have conspiracies against you? There's got to be a laundry list.
There is.
So why are you so surprised when that's my whole thing? Why are you acting so? Oh, getting my heart broken. People.
Well, it's because I like Paul and I like Kenny, so I can pick at those guys.
All right. Got Michael Clark versus Lonnie Price. Lonnie Price has ventured inside the cage. This is a title fight, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Mikey Clark. This is, I think we said a couple of webcasts, a couple of videos ago that you didn't know if Mikey was ready for the title fight.
Yeah, you know, and my concerns proved to be correct. You know, I was really concerned with him and putting him or Trey Singleton into a title fight. In that 135, 145 pound division, just because of their age and their youth. And, you know, they fought each other. When I said that, had a war of a fight. Michael came out on the losing end of that. But then Michael said he wanted to go down to 125, which traditionally in the 125 pound weight class, you don't see very many grown men in that weight class. And that was my concern with putting him in 135, 145 was the physical maturity and him getting overwhelmed. You know, I don't want to sound like a father figure, but possibly hurt by, you know, someone who's 150 pounds cutting down to 135 and has that man strength to him. At 125 pounds, you know, I feel good about it. And he's definitely earned it. He is coming off of a loss, but I dare say that there's very many 125 pounders out there that can handle Michael Clark. Lonnie Price, on the flip side of that, is one of those few men that can make the 125-pound weight class, and it's not really a struggle for him. So, and it was actually a late thing, Lonnie coming in for this fight. He was a replacement fighter. So I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm going to have to place my money, though, on the kid, Michael Clark.
All right. Michael Clark, I believe, trains with Rikion right now.
Yes.
And Lonnie Price, I believe, was supposed to turn pro after the Freedom, or turn pro at the end of the year. So I guess this might be his last fight as a amateur, and hopefully he's going to try to pick up the belt. But you're going with Michael Clark, so
yeah, I got to go with the kid.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. Nate Kaiser versus William Brown. William Brown, I believe, fought for a title before. This is not a title fight.
Right. He
fought a very good Denison Paiva. If I'm correct about that. Nate Kaiser comes in. Can't read the rest of this thing, but I think Nate Kaiser's coming off a win.
Yes.
How do you see that one playing out?
Nate Kaiser, man, like I said, that experiment that Jason Salvo and them have created down there in Charleston, South Carolina. This guy's scary. You know, he's worth it's worth coming to the fight just to see him.
Sure.
I mean, he's one of those guys. He's one of the few examples, glimpses into the future of MMA that I speak about often when I have a serious conversation about MMA, which you know is rare. But you know, MMA is a young sport, and we've yet to see what happens when the elite level athletes come into our sport. Most of the people that enter into MMA, you know, they're either high school wrestlers, jiu-jitsu players, true martial artists, people who love the sport. Every once in a while we'll get the collegiate level wrestlers, but very rarely do we ever get the professional athletes, the professional basketball players, the professional football players, the highest level wrestlers, which you see what happens when you get a Ben Askren, you know, coming into the MMA sports scene. In this case, we have a professional hockey player. And everyone knows hockey players are
tough,
are beyond the toughest athletes in the world, right up there with rugby. But they're also some of the most well-conditioned. Their leg strength, their power, and their ferocity is very well noted. And with Nate Kaiser, from the first time he stepped into the cage, I told him and I told his coaches, I'm not going to put you in there with people that are around your record or around your necessarily skill level, because your athleticism more than makes up for what they have in skill. And his first fight against Coulter Brown, who was a Army Combatives champion, he's the Army Combatives instructor, and I think at the time when they fought, Coulter Brown was 4-0 and Nate Kaiser was debut, and Nate Kaiser almost beat him. The next fight, he absolutely just brutalized Brad Strain when I went against my word and did put him in there with a debut fighter. And I said, I'll never do it again. So this time he's fighting Sergeant William Brown, who's no stranger to the MMA scene or Fight Lab cage. Williams fought for us at least 4 times that I can remember. He's had 2 title fights with us, unsuccessful in both attempts. But he is a soldier. He is a warrior. 8-3 as an amateur. He's been there. He's seen it all. He's been in there. He's fought 185. He's fought 205. He's coming off a victory against Big Country John Allen, who is a very tough opponent, very hard to beat, let alone put away. For this fight, I'm gonna have to shock the world, and I'm gonna have to go with the hockey player though. I'm gonna have to go with the experiment, Nate Kaiser.
There you go. And I hate to break up all this serious talk, but about 30 minutes ago, your boss, Mr. Kenny Letts, said there'll be latte time. And now here we are, deep into this video, and I don't have my latte yet.
And
usually by this time, Scott Price from Freedom Fighter would be handing me lattes hand over fist.
Yeah.
And I don't have a latte in front of me.
Yeah. You see what I go through. This is how I'm treated.
Pain.
This is how I'm treated. This is what the bread goes through the week of the fight, on top of crazy ass managers, crazy ass fighters who hire managers who don't know what they're doing. And blood work ain't in, eye exams ain't in, contracts ain't signed, ain't no damn lattes.
No.
That's why I'm opening up that KoolAid stand.
Can I be a part? Can I make videos for this said KoolAid stand?
As long as William Johnson and Kenny Letts do not follow you there, that you can do it.
I'll make sure they're not there.
All right, man.
All right, let's move it along because we're getting short on time here. You got Matt Pretty Boy Proin. He's my cousin 21st removed. Just to let you know, versus Zack Sharp. Zack Sharp hasn't fought in I believe about 2 years, if I'm correct. He used to be a staple up there at the Black Guy. You remember Black Guy up there in Asheville. This is a title fight, if I'm correct. How do you see this one playing out?
Man, wow. Lot of different emotions making this fight. Matt Proin trains at Rikyon over with my buddy Clay Reynolds. Does his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Fight to Win. Steve Hall, who I have a lot of respect for. Rikyon, by the way, that's where my son trains his wrestling. So Wonder Bread, I'm sure will be sitting there and intently watching this fight. Matt comes in at 5-1. My God, who beat him?
It was down in the beach, if I'm correct.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Is that when he's with Rikyon?
No.
Oh, he's undefeated since he's been with the Rikyon. We'll get back to that later. Really solid hands for Matt Proin. Like just about all the other English fighters you see, loves to stand up, loves to bang. Looks always looking for a good war. And this time he's going to get his wish, because the Razor, Zack Sharp, is no joke.
He trains up there with Buck, doesn't he?
He trains up there with my old team. In fact, I think Zack started with us at Team Husky probably about a month before my exit from Team Husky. And I've known the kid for a long time. I knew him when he was wrestling at East Henderson High School. Very high level black belt in several forms of karate. Obviously wrestled some in high school. Ridiculous hand speed, ridiculous foot speed. Reminds you a lot of Matt Proin. If you had asked me 6 months ago, before Matt was with the Rikyon, I would have said, the difference here is going to be they're gonna pop each other in the face. They're both going to realize they don't like it, and Zack's going to take him down. And that's what I would have said. Now, since he's been at a Rikyon, Matt Proin's takedown defense is ridiculous. His jiu-jitsu has improved tenfold since he's been with Steve Hall. So we've got Zack Sharp's style of karate, which I think is comparable to Kempo. Versus Matt Probin's boxing. We've got Zack Sharp's catch wrestling from Johnny Husky and Team Husky versus Matt Probin's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Steve Hall. And we've got two fighters from two teams that are well known for their high level of conditioning. This is ridiculous. What did we say about the mulligans? Did you say
No, you can't take any.
I can't take a mulligan?
No, this is the year-end closeout, my friend.
Wow, I can't take a mulligan on this?
Every picks must go.
Wow.
No mulligan, my friend.
This is ridiculous.
You're on the spot.
This is ridiculous.
If this was like January, I said, oh yeah, mulligan all day long. Mm-hmm. This is like November, December getting time frame now. You got to pick them all.
My heart says Zack Sharp. My heart and my brain says Matt Probin. So I'm going to break it down to the nitty-gritty. Because Johnny Buck's beard
awesome.
Looks better than when Clay Reynolds was growing that scraggly-ass shit, I'm going to give the nod to Zack Sharp.
All right.
With a notation beside it, Clay Reynolds' fault because Johnny Buck's beard looks better.
Okay. Well, that's understandable.
That's as good as I can. Because I really don't know who's going to win that fight. I mean, it's going to be such a good fight. I can't imagine no one outstriking Probin in amateur MMA.
I like Proin, like I said, he's family, so
Can you see a 45-pounder? Do you know of any 45? You know who I'd like to see fight?
Who?
I'd like to see Probin and Sharp, the winner. February 8th, this is a title fight. February 8th, whoever wins this fight, Zack Sharp, Matt Probin, fights Trey Singleton.
Ah, there you go.
February 8th.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that.
You heard it here first.
You heard that. Trey Singleton gets the winner of this.
All right. We're moving on?
We're moving on. Let's go.
Igor Tatarov, again, another name at 10 o'clock in the morning. He's at 4-0. He's down at Relentless MMA. He won his last fight with you guys. Fight Lab 32. 32. Versus Patrick Ward, the champion of Freedom Fighter. He won his last fight. Picked up the title, I believe, about 2 months ago. First time he's been inside the Fight Lab cage. This is going to be a little different. A bigger crowd, Grady Cole Center. Got to have people's yelling.
It's not going to be a bigger crowd. We're measly little Fight Lab, man. There's no way we'll put 200 people in a Grady Cole. I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. So you're going to move on. But of course, Patrick Ward, he's pretty good.
Patrick Ward, let me tell you the honest truth. Patrick Ward, I love his coach, Daniel Sprayberry. Those guys, every time they've come to Fight Lab, they fight hard. They had a guy, beat Duran McDonald back at Cody Joe's and just shocked everybody.
Yeah.
Patrick Ward is the USFSC middleweight champion, correct?
It is.
Igor Tatarov is about to do work. Igor Tatarov is a Fight Lab vet.
Yeah.
I talked to his teammate yesterday, Matt Tuttle. He said he said Igor told him, said they was sitting there in the Russian sauna, which I don't want to know what the hell that is. I don't want to know. No one emailed me telling me what the Russian sauna is.
You get a lot of pictures.
I don't want to see pictures. And he said Igor looked over at him and in his stone cold Russian voice said, "I will break him." Or was that Drago and Rocky?
Rocky.
Okay, it sounded good, but I was telling a lie.
Like
okay, Matt Tuttle didn't say that. Igor Tatarov's ready. I'm telling you, I did talk to Aaron, his coach. I did talk to Matt Tuttle briefly, and they both said Igor is ready. I don't have a lot of communication with Patrick Ward and Daniel Sprayberry. I love those guys. I appreciate what they're doing. They're tough. I've seen Patrick Ward fight on video at USFFC, and man, he's got heavy hands. When he hit the dude at USFFC, all 150 people just screamed and hollered. Did I just say that?
You're going to get me in trouble.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to say that. I didn't mean it bad. I was just saying.
I get paychecks from some people who are affiliated with.
I like Scott Price, though. He's my man. I'm kidding, Scott. Scott's got a front row seat at our show. He saves me a front row seat, but I never get to go because I've always got to go to a fight somewhere. But listen, Igor Tatarov, Patrick Ward, 185 title fight. I promise you it's going to be knuckles and buckles and fists flying and all that good stuff, heavy hands. And I'm going to go with Igor Tatarov by submission in the second round.
There you go. Culture Brown versus Duran McDonald. That's a title fight. Right now, Coulter's at a 4. He's 4-0 right now. He comes out of Team Rock down in Fort Bragg. Grant, of course, trains at Modern Warrior MMA down here.
Modern Warrior MMA.
Rock Hill, coached under the great Patrick Sweet.
That's beat up. That was beat up. I thought everybody thought you was going to say the great Keith Richardson, but you said the great Patrick Sweet.
I did. I changed it up.
That is wrong.
But I'm not going to have the keys to the house.
That is wrong. I tell you what, Coulter Brown, he's 4-0, I think. Is that what you said?
Yep.
4-0 in the cage. He's and actually that really doesn't speak for his experience because, like I said, he's the Army Combatives. Won the Army Combatives a couple times. He's the Army Combatives instructor for Team Rock. Very solid ground game. He won the #1 contender spot a couple fights ago. Our current champion, Derek Brown, had some things going on. He wasn't able to defend the title. The last show, against Coulter, he's on hiatus right now. He'll be back in February with what he said is the real unified Carolinas 205-pound title because he's actually the Warfare champion also. And so he said he will be coming up here to laugh the smacketh downeth on whoever wins this fight. Now, Derek Brown did beat Duran McDonald for our belt. So if Duran was to win, he gets his rematch. If Coulter is to win, then he gets to prove to everybody what he's been telling me all along, which is that Derek Brown cannot hang with him. Unfortunately for Coulter, I don't see it going that way. I'm going to have to go with the Duranimal. Duran McDonald. The kid's explosive. He's strong. I just don't think that Coulter can withstand that flurry.
Okay. We'll see what happens on Saturday. I like the pick, though. I like the pick for, sentimental, personal reasons. Now we're moving to the pros now. Got 2 pro fights. Got Curtis Cloward. Another, you're loading them up on these Arikion guys, aren't you? You're stacking up. They're churning out athletes and stars.
Hey, man. They are. Their MMA program, started a little bit later than some of the other schools like Team Rock, KoolAid Stand, and Team Husky. And actually, I think they got started right about the time that me and Phil merged for Renegade. Okay. And I would say for the time frame that right up there with us at Renegade, Arikion has shown that very quickly they can produce good fighters.
So we got Curtis Cloward versus Daniel Cherry, who's at 1-1 as a pro. He's fighting out of Greer, South Carolina, in Revolution MMA. What do we know about him?
Daniel Terry, the Edge. He's a Fight Lab vet. Through his amateur career, I think he fought for us 3 times. Yeah, most people don't know that.
Sorry,
used to train out with Josh Lennon and Brandon Beach. He's one of those guys, one of the few people that really sticks out in my mind that the rules in North Carolina really hampered and hurt him as an amateur. Very ferocious striker. I mean, no fear, heavy-handed, lightning quick kicks. Very dangerous stand-up guy. But what would happen is he would hit somebody and they would say, to heck with this, and they would just take him down. Yeah. And he couldn't let off those head kicks that he wanted to, that he'd been trained to do all of his life. And so he would get took down, he would get laid on, and his amateur career was sort of upside down. He turned pro and fought Sylvain Bynum, who's a very tough wrestler. Sylvain took him down, laid on him, same thing, blah, 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 blah. He did what most fighters don't have the gonads do. He made a change. He made a life change. He packed everything up, and he moved out to Las Vegas and trained with Vanderlei Silva for about a year.
Nice.
His BJJ improved. His takedown defense improved. His striking, to go along with his ferocity. If you could imagine someone who was already fearless and just vicious in their striking, going to live and train with Vanderlei Silva, and he moved back out here, got him a pro victory, went back out, I think, for another 6 months, came back, and now he's here and he's ready to jump back in the Fight Lab cage. So I'm excited to have Daniel Terry here. He actually came up to Renegade, him and Ronnie Rogers, and I mean, he's tough. I mean, he is tough. On the other side of the cage is Curtis Cloward, who was a staple in MMA. Even though he's young, he's been fighting for a long time here in the region. From the time he was an amateur till up now, he's pro. He actually took about a year off, and he's back. And he looks better than ever. His wrestling since he's been at Arikion looks very good. Finally has some takedown defense and actually some takedown offense.
I believe he's won his past 2 fights inside.
I think he's on a 3-fight win streak total. So I'm excited about this fight. I think it's going to be fireworks standing up. I think that the edge is going to go to Curtis Cloward. No pun intended. The edge, Daniel. The edge, Terry.
Sensei safety first, I believe they call him. Sensei,
Yes.
safe. And these pictures are so important that I believe a bird just flew in behind us to get your work. Try to get the lowdown from you. But the big fight, the big main title fight. This is a doozy here, folks. This one is worth the price of admission, plus popcorn and some beer.
Man.
Kevin, the master of cool Frant, versus Ronnie, Bam Bam Rogers. I like this one. I like this.
I like it. I like it. I like it, sort of. I mean, in any time that a staple of Fight Lab like Kevin Frant, I mean, I can't say enough about what Kevin Frant as a fighter has meant to Fight Lab. I don't think there would be 34 shows if it wasn't for guys like Kevin Frant and Nick Smith and Keith Richardson and Blaine Thomas and Ricky Rainey and these guys that have just laid it on the line and sometimes for nothing. When they were amateurs, they were fighting fights that carried the publicity and the stress and the anxiety of a professional fight. And then as pros, sometimes, because of where we was at as a company, they would fight for next to nothing. And so whenever, those guys step in the cage and they're in the main event, excuse my saying, my butthole gets a little tight because, I as a matchmaker and as a friend, as a matchmaker, I've got to put them in there with somebody tough in the main event. As a friend, and somebody who's benefited from their blood, sweat, and tears, I get a little nervous when I know that the guys are really tough. And of all the people we've ever had on Fight Lab that's in that situation, like Keith and Ricky and Dingo and these guys that's, like I said, laid it on the line, Nick Smith, no one has ever faced an opponent as dangerous as what Kevin is fighting this Saturday. And I was looking at Kevin's record. Kevin is an extremely tough young man, very talented. In my opinion, one of the top 55-pounders in the region, but he's never fought nobody this tough. I mean, even Eric Reynolds that beat him in the XFC. Ronnie Rogers is another level of tough.
I was going to say, whenever I think of Bam Bam, I can't really point to he does this well. He does everything well, but he's such a bruiser. Can you just point out one? Do you think you can lay a hand on as far as he does this striking or on the ground game? Or something
he has ungodly explosion and power in his hook from either hand, and it's at times when you don't think he'll throw it. I've watched him fight a guy that I manage and a guy that I manage and train, Keith Richardson and Shane Crenshaw. I would have bet the house both times that both of those guys was going to beat him. I said, there's just and every time that I think of the way that somebody's going to beat him, he ends up beating them that way. Crenshaw, I was for sure would be able to just take him down, and just could not get him to the ground and hold him down. Keith, I was for sure that Keith's hand speed and his wrestling and I could have named 1,000 ways Keith could have beat him, and Keith was beating him, and just out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, out of nowhere. If you watch the fight, it come out of nowhere. He just cracked
I was
him.
there for it.
He's beat Clay Harvison. He's beat Joe Elmore. He's beat I don't remember the one guy, the Brazilian kid. He's beat so many UFC veterans. Ran Weathers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And so for Kevin, without it being a televised fight, he's stepping in there against a guy that can literally make him or break him. I mean, this is an important fight for Kevin Frant. And, I hope and I assume and I'm pretty sure, that Paul Boo and those guys have watched the film and studied him. And because what you think you can do to him, you can't do to him. Yeah. I know Kevin's a bully and likes to bully people up against the cage and grind on them. Bam Bam's strong. There's a reason they call him Bam Bam. Yeah. He is ridiculously strong. He hits ridiculously hard. His submission game, man, he's been around since 2006, 2007, and he was doing stuff before then. Back when I was competing actively and grappling and fighting, which was underground stuff. Bam Bam was doing stuff back then. So, you know, right now he's 17-12, but realistically, dude, he could have 40 freaking fights. Mm-hmm. He's experienced. The one weakness that he has, man, my eyes. I got something in my eye. I'm sorry.
It's the lights.
It is. Right. It's the lights. The one thing about Bam Bam is that you never know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes with Bam Bam, you think, oh, man, this is a big fight, and he's going to show up and just be ridiculous shape. And he shows up, and you can look at him and tell he hasn't really put a lot into it. But I did see him, like I said, he did come up here with Daniel Terry for one training session to work with Dingo about a month and a half ago, and he looked good. Kevin Frant on the other side, Kevin is he's a tough guy, he's a grinder, he's physical, he's got great cardio, he can go 3 5-minute rounds like it's nothing. My biggest question is the weight cut. You know, how is that going to affect him, getting it back down to 55? And I think if he can get down to 55 without any problems, I think he's going to be fine. Right. I have to go with the master of Kool.
There you go.
The master of drill.
Because I know the stress of the blood work and it's getting to your eyes right now. I'm going to quickly wrap it up. This is going to look like another great card you guys put on. And because I get the text from the higher ups here at Fight Lab that you guys, if you don't have, by the time this pops on your computer screen, either tonight or Friday morning, if you don't have your tickets by now, you're cutting it very, very close right now.
Yeah, and we say that every show, but this show is it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Whenever I start getting texts from the bigwig saying you're about to be in trouble if you think you're going to show up.
Yeah, you're going to be out.
Yeah. Quite frankly, you need to use some calls to other gyms around the area, see if they have tickets left, because this one looks to be a sellout.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
You're gonna be there.
I might come.
You might come. Same thing. I have a dance recital to do.
Depends on how much William Johnson gets on my nerves.
Oh, he's gonna get on your nerves.
Yeah.
That along with what's his face? Who's the other media guy gets on your nerves?
Evan Goyette.
No, not Evan.
I like Evan.
Evan's good.
Evan hangs out with you. I like Evan.
Yeah, he hangs out with me, so.
The mouth of the South, right?
That's what I was thinking. God. Oh yeah, you don't want to show. Can we like put up a thing in front of the?
I might sit down with Scott Price in the first row and just go on strike. I might sit with Scott and just and where will you be sitting?
Nowhere near you probably, because I don't want stuff to be insults to be hurled, and I don't want to be associated with said insults like, here's those two guys, son of a, you didn't pick my guy. So I'll be floating somewhere. Hey,
well, I tell you what, everybody listen up. Real talk, MMA is blowing up here in the Carolinas. Good things are happening. This Saturday, November 16th, Grady Cole Center, Charlotte, North Carolina. Doors open at 5. Show starts at 6. Get there, get in your seats, get ready for some great BJJ fights in the cage, get ready for some great MMA fights. Is there anything else coming up? I know December 7th is USFFC.
December 6th, I believe.
December 6th in Gastonia.
The Gas House, baby.
In the Gas House. Get down there and see USFFC in the Gas House.
First sanctioned fights.
Sanction. It's the first sanctioned fights in Gastonia.
There's been plenty of fights in Gastonia.
Absolutely. That's going to be a great card. And actually, November 17th, the day after our show, this Sunday, Warfare. My good friend Andy Hall, he's doing a show December the 7th, USFFC. Scott Price and them, they're going to put on a great card for you in Gastonia. And I think the following weekend, if I'm correct, December 13th, is going to be Wild Bill's Toys for Tots. One of the absolute greatest shows on earth for a good cause. Make sure you get in there and see them guys. Before you go see all those, again, this Saturday, November 16th, doors open at 5, show starts at 6. Ronnie Bam Bam Rogers versus Kevin, the master of Kool Frant. I'll be there, he'll be there. We'll see you there, guys.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, buddy.